first one is from Boris. He says, have you ever looked into PSIO light therapy glasses for lowering brain frequencies to the alpha and theta levels? No, is the simple answer to that. However, am I familiar with brain entrainment using what's known as sound and light therapy? Then yes, it's something that I've used for a long time. And there's many different versions. There's always a new company, a new acronym, a new something, a new variation, a new upgrade. For me personally, when I'm working, I use a device called MindSpa. Been using it for 15 years, and it uses sound and light to entrain the brain. So rather than just having binaural beats, or you can also use different technologies similar to binaural beats that entrain the brain into a certain frequency. And bear in mind, when we're talking about entraining the brain, like we did with Learning Genius, this is not a guarantee. This is it's a crutch, it's a shoehorn. Just like quietening your meditation room will help you get into a present state. But having a quiet room doesn't guarantee a present state, does it? No, it's just helpful along the journey. So binaural beats are a helpful environment to kind of encourage your brain to get into a state, providing you're not fighting it along the way with crazy beta level thoughts. Now, as we are visual creatures, we also respond to light frequency and light waves. And when light waves are pulsed, it affects the brain, which is why you go into a cinema and they will always flash a warning. Be careful, strobe lights in effect, or a nightclub. Now, why do they say that? Because strobe lights can bring on seizures for people who suffer with epilepsy. What does that mean? It means that light flashing at a certain frequency triggers certain brain activity. Understand? Now, when you use light and sound at a frequency to entrain the brain, it makes it more powerful than just using one modality, i.e. auditory. So the reason I use MindSpa, and it's kind of old technology now, I'm sure there's newer ones on the market, but I use it because 99% of sound and light machines, as they're called, usually have closed eye glasses, and the lights will flash and you can still see them through your eyelids. That the pulsing, you can tell. However, the MindSpa is actually eyes open. They have the eyes open and the lights are around. So it's flashing in your eyes while you can work or read a book or concentrate. So I use MindSpa a lot. So I haven't looked into PSIO therapy, whatever that may mean. But again, I'm very familiar with sound and light therapy combined as a medium for entraining brainwaves to help you get into an alpha or theta state. Now, with where you guys are on your EMF journey, auditory or binaural beats like with Learning Genius are pretty much just as powerful, because you don't need as much hand-holding as the average person at this point that's still fighting themselves and can't manage their own emotions. Does that make sense? So don't think you have to go out and spend or waste money on the latest gadgets in order to get the result. That kind of thinking will keep you trapped. It is the same level of thinking that says, I need more money in order to be happy. Now, notice when you say that, there's never a figure. There's, oh, I need that much. Oh, I need $1 million. Why? Because it's so far away, you think that $1 million will give you everything you want and solve your problems. And of course, when you get to $1 million, you still have the same amount of problems. You may have different types of problems because they're not as low financially pressing, but you still have the same amount of problems. And you'll run the same loop thinking, oh, but when I get 2 million, I'll have less problems than I have now as $1 million. Right? It doesn't work that way. So far more empowering for you guys to be able to have the mindset of, I don't need sound and light therapy. I can dip into it if it's useful and I'm feeling a little extra stressed. That's why I'll use Learning Genius concentration if I'm struggling to concentrate because I didn't sleep well last night and the kids have been stressing me out or whatever. But don't try to wean yourself into crutches and hooks, because when they're not there, you've got nothing to lean on. And right now I'm here to tell you, you don't need to lean on anything. You're already way ahead of the general population when it comes to self-improvement. Right? So just acknowledge these for what they are. They can be useful in certain circumstances. Right? Everybody happy with that? Well, don't want to think, I want to buy every gadget that Pete's got because then I'll be like, be able to do what he does. It's not the game, right? I do what I do without gadgets. I was doing very strong heart math scores in prison without heart math. All right. Why? Because I practiced with it enough, right? When I was out.